Welcome to your sleep story. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Whatever this day was, however long it felt, however much it carried, it is behind you now, completely behind you. You made it through, and that is everything. So let's begin. Before I take you anywhere tonight, I want to count you down from 10 to 1. And as I count, I want you to allow yourself to sink just a little deeper into wherever you are right now. Feel the weight of your body. Feel what is beneath you, holding you. And with each number, just let go a little more. 10. Allow your eyes to close. Gently, completely. There is nothing you need to see right now. 9. Feel your shoulders and let them drop as far as they want to go. 8. A slow breath in through the nose. 7. And all the way out. 6. Your hands. Feel them opening. Whatever you've been holding today, you can put it down now. 5. Your jaw is soft. Your face is soft. 4. Your legs are heavy, warm. 3. You're drifting, not asleep yet, but moving that way. 2. The day is behind you, completely and entirely behind you. 1. And now, tonight's sleep story, the relaxation. Before we go anywhere, I want to stay here with you for a moment. Just here, just now, because this moment, this exact moment right now, where you are lying in the quiet, deserves a little attention, a little kindness. Take a breath in for me, from the very bottom of the belly. Good, and let it go. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine that everything you were carrying today, every worry, every unfinished thought, every heavy thing is just leaving with that breath, just drifting away. You don't have to solve anything tonight. You don't have to figure anything out. You don't have to be anything other than exactly what you are right now. A person who deserves rest, a person who deserves sleep, because you do, you really do. Whatever happened today, however hard it felt, however much it carried, you made it through. You are here, and that is enough. That is more than enough. You are safe, and you are here. Bring your awareness gently to your feet now. Just notice them and allow them to soften. The toes uncurling, the arches releasing. All the small held tension of the day simply letting go. Let that softness travel upward, through the calves, through the knees, the thighs. All of it warm, all of it heavy, all of it resting now. Your lower back, your hips. Allow yourself to feel the surface beneath you taking your weight completely, fully. You don't have to hold yourself up anymore. The stone has you. The warm island stone has you. The belly soft, the chest soft, the heart beating steadily as it always has, as it always will. Your shoulders dropping, your arms heavy and warm, your hands open and still, the neck long and loose, and your face, let the jaw go. Let the forehead smooth. Let the eyes be completely still behind their lids. There you are, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, completely soft, completely warm, completely at rest. You've done beautifully. Now, let me take you somewhere an entire island is built from one material, and that material is golden, and the last of the day's sun catches it and makes it glow. And an old man in a dusty yard is finishing his last cut of the day with a handsaw that he has been drawing through this same warm stone for 50 years. Come with me. The road through Malta. Imagine a road in Malta, not the northern coast's resort towns, not the harbor approaches of Valletta with their grand Baroque facades. Something quieter, a village road in the interior of the island, or in the older parts of Gozo, Malta's smaller sister island, just to the northwest. The road is narrow. The walls on either side are the same color as the road's own surface, as the walls of every building visible in every direction, as the quarried outcrops on the hillside above, a single color, warm golden honey, the color of the island's own limestone, glowing now in the evening's low amber light. In Malta, this is not something you notice exactly. You simply exist within it. The whole island is one material, one color, one continuous warm surface that the sun catches and holds and returns, in the evenings especially, with extraordinary, apparently inexhaustible generosity. The road climbs slightly. The village ahead, a cluster of limestone houses, their flat roofs and boxy, forms the traditional building style of these small Mediterranean islands, the style that is not architectural fashion, but simple practical response to the available material and the available climate. Thick walls against the summer heat, small windows against the glare, flat roofs for catching whatever rain the brief wet season provides. A church, its dome and twin bell, towers the obvious, deliberate exception to the village's general horizontal modesty. The Baroque religious architecture of Malta, being one of the most concentrated expressions of that style anywhere in the world. Every village, however small, having invested generations of collective wealth and labor into the building that stands at its center, and beside the church, down a narrow alley, the sound you have been following without entirely realizing it, the sound of stone being cut, the sound, let me describe it before you arrive, because it is the first thing that finds you even before the alley has brought you in sight of the yard. A handsaw through limestone, not the violent, percussive sound of powered cutting equipment. No angle grinder, no circular saw, not the industrial noise of the quarry operations elsewhere on the island. A handsaw, manual, the particular rhythmic sound of a hand-drawn blade working through soft stone, the SSSD of each stroke, steady, even requiring perhaps a second for each forward and return pass, producing a sound that is neither entirely like sawing wood nor entirely like anything else, something between the two, the limestone's particular density giving the sound a slightly heavier, more full quality than wood, a sound that you feel as much in your chest as you hear with your ears. SSSD, SSSD. Study the sound of work that is neither hurried nor entirely slow. The pace of someone who has been doing exactly this for so long that the pace has become simply their pace. The pace of one particular person's life, working one particular material, refined across 50 years to exactly what it needs to be. You enter the alley. You turn toward the sound. The yard, open to the sky, not a workshop in the enclosed, indoor sense. Malta's climate, reliably warm and dry for most of the working year, allows this kind of open-air operation. The cutting yard, simply a cleared stone-paved space behind the stone cutter's house, open on one side toward the narrow alley, and bounded on the other three by the house wall, the neighbor's wall, and a low stone parapet beyond which the village drops away toward the valley below. The floor of the yard, white, not painted, simply the accumulated dust of years of cutting. A fine, pale limestone powder that has settled on every horizontal surface, softened every edge, filled every crack between the yard's own flagstones, giving the whole space a particular quality of softness that contradicts the hardness of the material that produced it. Stone dust everywhere, on the low wooden workbench, on the hand tools hanging from the wall above it, the various saws, the chisels, the broad-faced mallets, the plumb bob hanging perfectly still on its string from a nail, on the low blocks of cut stone stacked against the house wall, their surfaces white dusted despite having been cut days or weeks ago. The yard's pervasive stone dust settling continuously back onto everything regardless of how often it is swept, and on the stone cutter himself, bent over his work at the far end of the bench, his clothes the same pale white-gray as everything else in this yard, his hands and forearms the same dusty white, his eyebrows faintly white with stone dust, the whole man apparently made, or at least thoroughly coated, in the same material he has spent his working life shaping. The first breath, the smell of fresh-cut Maltese limestone. This is perhaps the most specific and least globally recognizable smell in this entire series of journeys. More particular even than the saffron field's 80-million-year-old resin. More rooted in one specific place than even the Baltic amber's ancient forest. Fresh-cut Maltese, limestone smells of the sea. Not literally, not in the way that ocean air smells of the sea, but the limestone of these islands is almost entirely composed of the compressed remains of ancient marine organisms. The shells and skeletal material of creatures that lived in the Tethys, sea some 50 million years ago, laid down layer by layer across millions of years of geological time, eventually compacted and cemented into the soft, golden, workable stone that the entire island is built from. When you cut this stone, you release, very faintly, something of that ancient marine chemistry, a faint, clean, almost chalk-like smell with an underlying mineral note that, once you have encountered it, and learned what it is, makes you understand immediately why the stone that forms these islands and the sea that surrounds them are, in the most literal possible sense, made of the same thing. The sea and the stone, the same material in different forms. Beneath the limestone smell, the sun itself, the day's long heating of every surface in this enclosed yard, the limestone absorbing the Mediterranean sun's warmth across the full working day, the air in the yard holding a warmth that is dry and deep and mineral, the warmth of stone that has been in the sun since morning, and faintly from the house, cooking, the evening meal beginning somewhere behind the closed door, the smell of it threading through the yard's stone smell in a domestic counterpoint, tomatoes, garlic, the smell of a Maltese kitchen in the evening. SALVU. He is 77 years old. His name is Salvu. In Maltese, the name is the equivalent of Salvator, a name with ancient roots in the islands, belonging to a family that has worked stone in this village for at least 4 generations, that Salvu can clearly account for, and almost certainly longer. His father cut stone, his grandfather cut stone, a great-grandfather whose name Salvu knows, but whose face he has only imagined is recorded in the village's old parish records as a nakar, the Maltese word for stonecutter, a word with Arabic roots that sits in the language as a reminder of the 2 centuries of Arab rule that shaped much of Malta's vernacular culture and much of its working vocabulary before the island's later medieval and early modern history layered over it. The Arabic-derived word for the man who cut stone, still in use, still applied to Salvu, as it was applied to his father, his grandfather, the great-grandfather whose face he only imagined. He is cutting now, in the last 40 minutes of the working day. The cut is almost complete. A block of Maltese limestone, roughly 40 centimeters by 30 by 20. Its 3 already cut faces smooth and square. Its 4th face now receiving the final saw strokes that will separate it fully from the slightly larger raw block it came from. SSSD, SSSD, each stroke removing a thin layer of stone, depositing a fine veil of pale dust on the saw blade and on the block's surface and on the already thoroughly white-dusted workbench. He does not hurry. He never hurries. The stone does not respond well to hurrying, and Salvu has never in 50 years seen the use of finding this out repeatedly. Maltese limestone. Let me tell you something about this material, because it is extraordinary, and because understanding it helps explain almost everything about this island and this craft and this particular man's 50 years within both. Maltese limestone, technically Globigerina limestone, named for the Globigerina foraminifera, whose fossils form such a significant component of its composition, is one of the most remarkable building materials in the world, not because of any dramatic strength or dramatic beauty, because of its combination of softness and durability. When freshly quarried, Maltese limestone is soft enough to be cut with a handsaw. This is not a metaphor or an approximation. A handsaw, the material Salvu draws his saw through tonight, is softer, when freshly cut, than many hardwoods. The calcium carbonate matrix that binds it together, still carrying the moisture from its underground formation. The stone in what geologists call its green state, the state in which it can be cut with hand tools, shaped with chisels, carved with knives, worked with any degree of precision that the craftsperson's skill and patience allows. But then it cures. Exposed to air, the moisture in the stone gradually evaporates, and as it does, the calcium carbonate begins a slow chemical hardening, cross-linking at the molecular level, converting the soft, freshly cut material into something considerably more durable, hard enough to have stood in the structures of Hagar Kim and Gigantija for 5,500 years of Mediterranean sun and rain and the patient erosion of time. 5,500 years in a building, material soft enough to cut with a handsaw. This combination, extraordinary workability when fresh, extraordinary durability when cured, is what made Maltese limestone the material that built everything on these islands, from the Neolithic temples that predate the pyramids to the Baroque churches to the harbor fortifications that held off the Ottoman siege of 1565, to the houses of this village, to the block Salvu, is cutting tonight. One material, one island, 5,500 years of continuous use. The tools on the wall above the workbench, the tools arranged in the particular order that reflects their frequency of use and their functional logic. The saws first, several of them, different sizes for different cuts, their blades toothed specifically for the particular softness and granularity of Maltese limestone, slightly different from the teeth of a woodworking saw, set and sharpened periodically by Salvu himself on a small wheeled grinder that occupies one corner of the yard. The chisels, various widths, their steel blades ground to different edge profiles for different purposes. The broad, flat chisel for splitting along a natural grain line, the narrower ones for finer work. The particular small-bladed chisel Salvu uses for the decorative details that certain commissioned pieces require. The mallets, heavy wooden-headed, the handle worn smooth and slightly darkened where his right hand has gripped it across uncountable thousands of blows. The set square and the spirit level for ensuring the accuracy of cut faces. Though Salvu uses these less than a beginning cutter would, his own eye and his own long-practiced judgment, having internalized the standards of squareness and levelness that these instruments exist to verify. The pencil for marking cut lines on the stone surface before the saw begins, a specific type of pencil, slightly softer than ordinary, chosen because it marks easily on the limestone's fine-grained surface without requiring pressure that might disturb the stone, dust already settled on it, each tool in its place, each one maintained, not obsessively. Salvu is not the kind of craftsperson who makes a ritual of tool maintenance for its own sake, but practically, reliably, because a tool that is not sharp, or not clean, or not properly set, is a tool that works against rather than with you. And working against your tools is a waste of both their potential and your own. The village around the yard, while Salvu cuts his final strokes of the day, let me describe what surrounds this yard on all sides. The house wall directly behind him, his own house, where his wife Maria is cooking, where they have lived for 51 years of marriage, where their children were raised and have now departed for their own lives in Valletta and in London, and in the newer parts of Malta that the past 2 decades of development have produced. The neighbor's wall to the left, a house belonging to a family whose name Salvu has known all his life, whose generations have overlapped with his own in the particular, continuous, accumulated way of a village that has not changed its basic social fabric as much as the wider world has changed around it. The low parapet wall ahead of him, beyond which the village drops away to the valley. From here, in the day's fading light, you can see the other village on the valley's opposite hillside, its own limestone houses glowing with the same warm amber as the walls of this yard, its own church dome catching the last light. 2 villages facing each other across a valley, both the same color, both the same material, both built over centuries by the hands of families like Salvu's, cutting the same soft stone from the same island's ground. The sound of children from somewhere further down the alley, a brief, cheerful explosion of noise from the end of a school day, quickly receding, the sound of a television, very faintly, from the neighbor's house, the bells of the village church, marking the hour, Maltese church bells, like Pieter's medieval tower bells, marking the evening's passage with the same calm, patient authority they have always maintained. And beneath all of it, the SSSD of Salvu's saw, drawing its patient line through the warm stone, the history of Maltese stone cutting. Let me tell you something about the full depth of this tradition, because the history of stone cutting in Malta is the history of the island itself. As thoroughly as saffron cultivation is the history of that Kashmiri plateau, or amber working, is the history of the Lithuanian coast. The earliest evidence of worked Maltese limestone dates to the Neolithic period. The temples of Hagar Kim and Emnajdra, Tarxian and Gigantija, built by a culture about which almost nothing is known except what the stones themselves reveal, which is, these people understood this material deeply, could cut it precisely with tools of bone and harder stone, could move blocks of enormous weight with technology we do not fully understand, and could arrange the cut stone into structures of sophisticated astronomical alignment and ceremonial complexity that have survived 5,500 years of Mediterranean time. Who were these people? Nobody knows. They left no writing, no images of themselves, no recoverable language. They left stone, cut, shaped, arranged with unmistakable intelligence and unmistakable care, by hands whose direct genetic and cultural relationship to Salvu is impossible to establish, but whose deep familiarity with this specific material is, across 5.5 millennia, entirely continuous with his own. The Phoenicians cut stone here. The Romans, the Arabs, during their 2 centuries of rule, brought new techniques and contributed through their language. The word nakar that is still used. The Knights of St. John, arriving in 1530, found an island of stone cutters and employed them immediately, expanding the Grand Harbor's fortifications with a scale and ambition that this tradition had never previously been asked to match. The British, arriving in 1800, found the same tradition still fully alive and used it for their own military and administrative building. And today, in this yard, in this village, in the last 40 minutes of this particular working day, Salvu draws his saw through the same stone that every previous generation of Maltese stone cutters has drawn their tools through. The material unchanged, the fundamental operation unchanged, the particular warm color of the dust settling on his hands, unchanged from the dust that settled on every other pair of hands in this whole long chain. The evening commission, the block Salvu is finishing tonight, is a commission. Not unusual, most of his work is commissioned rather than speculative. The tradition of ordering specific pieces from a stone cutter rather than buying standardized products being one of the specific characteristics of traditional Maltese stone working that modern industrialization has not entirely displaced, at least not in the villages, at least not among the people who grew up understanding what this material is and what it can do. This particular block is a window surround, a frame for a standard-sized domestic window in the traditional Maltese style, a piece that will be set into the masonry of a new house being built in the old style in a village not far from here by a family that wants their new house to look like the old houses around it. The carved limestone window surround being one of the primary visual markers that distinguishes a traditionally built Maltese house from anything more generic. The surround has a simple decorative profile. The traditional Maltese stepped molding around the outer edge, the same profile that appears on the window surrounds of houses on this island, dating back 300 years and more. A design so completely integrated into the island's visual culture that it reads, to a Maltese eye, as simply what a window surround looks like, as natural and as obvious as any other feature of the building vocabulary. This island has developed across its particular history. Salvu has cut this profile perhaps 1,000 times. Each time, it is slightly different, the stone being natural material, not entirely uniform in its grain and its density, requiring small adjustments of approach on any given piece. And each time, it is essentially the same. The design itself unchanged, the skill required unchanged, the particular relationship between the cutter and the material unchanged. He is nearly finished with tonight's piece. A few more strokes, then the final check with the set square, then the chisel work on the decorative profile, then tomorrow the delivery, the stone dust. Let me draw your attention back to the dust, because in this yard, at this hour, as the last of the day's sun comes in at a low angle through the gap between the house wall and the parapet, the stone dust in the air becomes visible in a way it was not earlier in the working day. The light catches it, illuminates it, each particle, each tiny fragment of compressed ancient marine shell, each microscopic piece of Malta itself, hovering in the still evening air of this enclosed yard, catching the light, becoming briefly, beautifully, individually visible before settling again onto the white dusted surfaces below. A slow, continuous snowfall of Malta, the island becoming itself, particle by particle, from the stone Salvu cuts. He has breathed this dust for 50 years. He wears a cloth mask now for the heavier cutting. This is a concession to the modern understanding of silica dust's long-term health effects that Salvu's father and grandfather never had the information to make. But in the final, lighter work of an evening's last cutting, the dust is fine enough and the work gentle enough that the mask stays on its hook, and the stone dust simply settles in the warm air around him, soft as the powder it has become, warm as the stone it came from. What the stone, TACHES, Salvu has thought, across 50 years of working this particular material in this particular place, about what stone cutting has taught him. It has taught him, first and most insistently, something about the nature of the material itself, and through the material, about the nature of patience. Maltese limestone, in its green state, does not resist you. This is the remarkable thing. Most materials that are worth working resist, in some form. Wood has its grain, which pushes back against certain cuts. Iron requires heat to become workable. Clay wants to sag. But freshly quarried Maltese limestone, in the right conditions, simply accepts the tool. You draw the saw through it, and it yields, producing its pale dust, offering its surface, becoming the shape you are making it into without argument, without the material's equivalent of complaint. This has taught Salvu something about the virtue of choosing the right moment to work. The green limestone, freshly quarried, works beautifully. The same limestone, left to cure for a year, resists far more. The work becomes harder, slower, requires more force, and produces less satisfying results. The correct moment, not early, when the stone is barely settled from its quarry, not late, when the curing has already progressed beyond the optimal window. The correct moment, judged by eye and by feel, and by the particular resistance the saw offers in the first test strokes. This judgment of the correct moment and of the willingness to wait for it rather than rushing ahead of it or missing it through inattention has served him, he believes, well beyond stone cutting. The stone also teaches care with detail. In a soft, workable material, errors are easy. Too deep a chisel stroke, too aggressive a saw cut, a moment of inattention on a delicate molding profile. And the consequences of errors in stone are considerably more final than in most other materials. You cannot fill a gouge in limestone the way a woodworker can fill a gap in wood. You cannot re-anneal stone. You cannot uncut what has been cut. The permanence of the material demands a corresponding permanence of attention. A sustained, careful, completely present engagement with every cut, every chisel blow, every decision about where the tool goes next. This, across 50 years, has not been a burden. It has been, instead, one of the most consistently reliable forms of meditation Salvu has ever encountered. The kind of focused, present moment attention that this work demands producing. In the course of ordinary working days, something that a person might seek in a dedicated meditation, practice, and find. Here, simply by showing up and picking up the saw. Maria, from the house, the smell of the cooking has intensified. Something on the stove, in earnest now. Maria, Salvu's wife of 51 years. She grew up in this same village, married Salvu at 23, raised 3 children in the house, whose wall forms one side of this yard, and has, across 51 years of marriage, heard the sound of the saw and the chisel from this yard on every working day of that marriage. She knows the sounds. She knows which sound is the rough cutting and which is the fine work. She knows the sound of the saw near completion, a slightly changed quality as the last narrow bridge of material between the blade and the cut's end approaches. And she knows that this particular sound means Salvu will be inside within 20 minutes, in time for the evening meal. She has known this for 50 years. She has timed her cooking to this sound for 50 years. The relationship between the sound from the yard and the timing of the meal is one of those small, entirely domestic arrangements that form themselves gradually between 2 people who have spent enough time in close, unhurried proximity. No conversation required, no coordination needed, simply the accumulated, wordless attunement of 2 lives lived genuinely together. She puts the pot on. He cuts the final stroke, the completion, the last stroke. The block separates cleanly from its parent piece. The final thin bridge of limestone yielding to the saw exactly as it should. The cut face smooth and square. Salvu sets down the saw. He picks up the block. He examines it, not with the sustained, analytical attention he gave to the raw piece at the beginning. This final examination is something different. The check that a person performs when they already know, in their hands and their gut, that the work is right. But but that courtesy to the work itself and to the person who commissioned it requires one last careful look. The faces are square. The dimensions are correct. He checks with a measuring tape. The old cloth one that has been in his yard since his father used it. Its graduations slightly worn at the most frequently used points. The surface, he runs a palm across each cut face. Smooth, not glassy smooth, not polished. This piece will be set into masonry, and its surface will take on whatever texture the subsequent plastering or pointing requires, but smooth in the correct sense. Smooth in the sense of a face that will receive what comes next without obstruction, without irregularity, without any of the hidden roughnesses that a less attentive cut might have produced. He sets it down on the rack with the other completed pieces. He brushes the dust from his hands. He looks at the yard, the tools, the dust, the last of the light going from the parapet wall. A small nod. Good. The evening. Salvu enters the house. He washes his hands at the kitchen sink. The particular, prolonged washing that stone cutting's fine dust requires. The pale limestone powder rinsing away in the water until the water runs clear. His hands emerging clean, but never quite free, even after 50 years of daily washing, of the particular slightly calloused texture that this work gives to the skin of the fingers and palms. Maria sets the meal on the table, a simple pasta, or perhaps the traditional Maltese fancata, rabbit, slow cooked, the traditional Sunday and feast day dish that has remained in the village kitchens of Malta. One of the most direct links to the island's pre-modern culinary heritage. Whatever it is simply and specifically the evening meal, prepared by someone who has been preparing the evening meal in this kitchen for 51 years, who knows exactly how the meal should taste and exactly how this kitchen produces it. The accumulated, embodied knowledge of a lifetime of cooking in one specific kitchen for one specific family. They eat together. They speak as people who have shared 51 years of meals speak, comfortably, without performance, about the small, specific things of the day. The commission, the delivery tomorrow, whether it will rain this week, the grandchildren, small things, real things, the things that make up an ordinary evening in an ordinary house in a quiet Maltese village. At the end of an ordinary working day, the yard tea night. After supper, the yard settles into its own particular evening quiet. The saw is on its hook. The chisels are in their places. The mallet rests on the bench. The completed block sits on its rack. Its 3 smooth faces gathering the first of the evening's dew. The limestone's surface beginning its slow curing process. The molecular changes that will, across the coming weeks and months, convert this soft and workable material into the durable, sun-golden stone that this island builds everything from. The dust settles further, as it always settles in the evenings, the day's cutting done. no new particles being added. The existing cloud very gradually coming down onto every surface it has been drifting above. The yard going from the fine, suspended haze of a working day to the settled, thicker coating of a night at rest. The stars appear above the parapet, the Mediterranean stars, sharp and numerous, the sky above a Maltese village carrying a clarity that the island's central position in the sea and its modest artificial light levels allow. The same stars that have watched over this yard on every similar evening across every generation of Salvu's families work here, back through the Arab period and the medieval period and the ancient Phoenician period, all the way back to the Neolithic people who first worked this same stone with tools of bone. The same stars, the same stone, the same warm, dusty, ancient smell of cut limestone drifting in the still night air. The church bells from the village church, barely 100 meters away, the 9 o'clock bells, not Pieter's enormous medieval Borden. These bells are smaller, their tone lighter, the particular, higher-pitched ring of Maltese church bells that carry across the flat limestone rooftops of the village with the same easy, penetrating clarity that Maltese limestone conducts sound generally. Stone transmits sound differently from wood, differently from brick, more directly, more completely. Sound moves through stone almost without loss, and a village built entirely from one kind of stone becomes, in its own way, a single resonating body. Every bell's tone felt as much in the walls and floors as heard in the air. The 9 o'clock bells move through this yard, through the completed block on its rack, through the saw on its hook, through the workbench and the dust and the parapet wall and the house behind. The whole yard, briefly, vibrating very slightly with the bell's tone. Then silence, the particular post-bell silence that Pieter knows from his own tower, that the border town villagers know from their paired church towers, that every community that has organized itself around the sounding of public hours knows from their own particular bells, particular silence after it has spoken. The world, having been told what hour it is, settling back into its quiet. You are drifting. You are still in the yard, in a sense, or somewhere very like it. The stone dust settling slowly around you. The completed block on its rack beginning its long, invisible curring. The warm limestone smell still present in the cooling night air. Salvu is inside, finishing his meal. The tools rest on their hooks. The stars are coming out above the parapet. All of it here, all of it holding you. Your breathing has slowed to match the yard's own deep, settled quiet. The quiet of a place where serious work has been done, and done well, and now set aside for the night's deserved rest. The quality of quiet that only a working space achieves at the end of a genuinely productive day. This is what a stone cutter's yard teaches, if you allow yourself to receive it, even only in imagination, even only for this one quiet hour before your own sleep arrives. that the softest material can become the most durable, that the correct moment, patiently waited for, allows work that no amount of forcing at the wrong moment could produce, that every cut is permanent, and therefore every cut deserves the full, present, careful attention that permanence requires, that one material, one island, one family's 50 years of faithful practice can produce something that will stand in the warm Mediterranean sun for centuries. A window surround in a limestone house, the same golden color as every other surface on this island, ordinary and extraordinary in exactly equal measure. You can rest now. The stone is curring. The dust is settling. The bells have spoken their last for tonight. The last things. The yard rests in the quiet of a working day concluded. The completed block sits on its rack, beginning its slow curring. The tools hang in their places. The dust lies settled on every surface, thick and soft and pale as the finest flower. The saw is clean. The mallet rests beside the chisels. The measuring tape is rolled. The pencil is on the bench beside the set square. Salvu and Maria are finishing their evening. The house light will go off, window by window, in the next hour. The village is settling around them. The children quiet now. The television sounds fading one by one. The alley outside the yard gate empty of footsteps. The church bells have spoken their last hour. The stars fill the sky above the parapet, the same stars that have hung above this same stone, in this same warm island climate, for as long as there have been stars, and as long as there has been island, somewhere on the hillside above the village, the limestone continues its own patient geological processes, compressing, curring, becoming, grain by grain, the material that has built everything here and will build everything here that remains to be built. The island and its stone, the stone and its cutters, the cutters and their families, their yards, their dust, their tools hanging in their places, all of it continuous, all of it golden in the daylight, all of it resting now in the warm dark. The yard is quiet. The stone dust has settled, soft and pale on every surface. The completed block rests on its rack, its curring already begun. The saw is on its hook. The mallet rests beside the chisels. The pencil is on the bench. The measuring tape is rolled. The set square is square. Salvu is inside. The meal is finished. Maria is clearing the table, as she has cleared it every evening for 51 years. The church bells have spoken. The stars fill the sky above the parapet. The same stars, always the same stars. The limestone on the hillside above the village is still forming, very slowly, grain by grain, as it has been forming for 50 million years. You are held tonight too, by this same warm, patient, golden stone, by an island that is one material, one color, one continuous warm surface, by 50 years of faithful daily work, by the particular quality of attention that a permanent material demands. by the knowledge that the softest things, properly tended, become the most durable. You do not need to cut anything tonight. You only need to rest, the way the stone rests, curring slowly, becoming what it will become. You are safe. You are warm. You are held in the cutting yard, in the quiet village, in the warm Maltese dark. The stone will keep its curring all through the night. The stars will keep their watch. And you can simply rest. Good night, dear friend. Sleep well. Sleep deeply. Good night, and